Well, good morning. I honestly cannot remember the last time I missed 2 days in a row of school for sickness. But today is the day, so today I still don't feel very good. I'm going to stay home. A couple of things. We're going to go ahead and cover 9.1 today, and then it is also in the handout is in your folder. Remember, I would like you to keep these, so find a place that you're going to store them for this unit. Also, your tests are graded, and I will be emailing them to you with the look at the key. I will talk to you about it more. I'm hoping it'll be tomorrow, but again, I gotta feel a little bit today. Let's get going on this lesson. Today we're going to talk about linear units of measurements, and then we're going to do conversions, so both in the English system as well as in the metric. And when we look at what we call unit fractions, and I always have called them unit multipliers, but they're the same thing. And what that if I say unit multiplier, that means it just has a value of 1. And so anytime you have something set equal to each other, I can write this as 12 inches over 1 foot or 1 foot over 12 inches. I can also go 3 feet is equal to 1 yard, and so that means that's 3 feet over 1 yard or 1 yard over 3 feet. And then the last one is 5,280 feet per mile and over 5,280 feet per minute per mile. And I'm also going to be sending you, just as a humor, I love that Nate Bargatze, he has a little Saturday Night Live comedy thing for conversion. So again, it's just for fun. Watch it at your leisure. I hope you enjoy it. But today we're going to talk about going over how we convert those. And so when I start off with, if I have 40 inches to 2 feet, so I start off by, I'm going to rewrite this as 40 inches, and I'll just abbreviate IN over 1. And then I know that my unit conversion, my inches will have to be opposite if it's in the numerator, it'll have to be in the denominator. Inches. And then, of course, I can go ahead and do from inches to feet. So I'm going to go ahead and put feet on the top. That's just one step. So in this case, then I go ahead and write my numbers. Well, again, 12 feet to 1 inch would not make any sense, but 1 foot over 12 inches would. And when they're on one's on the top of the fraction bottom, that means you will divide. So grabbing my calculator, and again, they don't tell us, metric is nice because we'll be able to just leave our decimals the same, but 40 divided by 12, you can go ahead and write that as then 3.3 with a line over it. I would also accept or 3 1/3, and then in this case I need to make sure on this one I'm going to cancel out my inches, and so I'll have feet. I'm going to be really picky on your tests and that sort of thing. You will have to put your units, so make sure you include that in your answer. The next one, I'm going to go 13,200 feet, and I'll write that over 1, and then I'm going to convert it to miles. And again, feet are going to have to go on the bottom, so I'm going to put feet here. And I know that there's 5,280 feet in 1 mile. And so, again, I'm going to end up with a division problem. So 13,200 divided by 5,280. And that would be 2.5. So 2.5, and then what's left is miles. The next one, I'll have 21 yards, 2 inches. Now, I'm going to show you how to do it with just 2 steps, but again, you probably will know that there are 36 yards, there's 36 inches in 1 yard. And so I'm going to demonstrate it doing 2 steps. So in this case, if I go just yards to feet, there would be then 3 feet to 1 yard, and then also then the next step would be then to go from feet, so it feet on the bottom here, and then inches on the top. So then it would be then 12 inches over 1. So in this case, my yards will cancel and my feet would cancel, and then I'm left with just multiplying those out. Since they're all on the top, you will multiply them. So 12 or 21 times, let me go ahead and just do the 36. So maybe 756 inches that would be left. And again, I have no problem with you just doing it one step and just going from yards to inches, but I would like on your test for you to show me this. The next one, I'm going to go 21 inches into yards. And so in this case, my inches are going to go on the bottom, but then on the top, I'm going to go ahead and put my yards on the top. And so in this case, to make this work, I have 1 yard, and I'll go ahead and use the 36. And so in this case, I'm going to divide. So it's a lot a smaller answer. Can you imagine? You're less than one yard. So 21 divided by 36 will give you then 0.58, and then with a line repeating on the 3. And so this, again, inches will cancel, and you're left within yards. Now, the next one are metric measurements. Metric measurements we use a lot with kilometers. You'll see a lot of meters. You'll see a lot of centimeters and millimeters. I don't see as many hecta, deca, and decimeters, but when we convert, I do like to use this little acronym. So in this one, a good suggestion is make sure you have this handy. When you do your test, make sure you put it on your note card. When you convert, so I'm going to convert from 504 meters to kilometers. So if I'm going to start with meters, I'm going to start here. If I'm going to go to the left, that means I'm going to follow my arrows. If I have to go down, that means I'm going to divide. If I go to the right, I will actually multiply. So in this case, I'm going to divide this by 1, 2, 3 decimal places. So I start with the 504.7, and I move my decimal place the same number of times. So I go 1, 2, 3, and so my decimal place for 504.7 meters will be then the same as 0.5047 kilometers. The next one, if I go from meters to centimeters, notice on this one, I'm going to go the other direction. So I'm going to go to the right, and I'm going to go over 1, 2, 2. So that means I'm going to take the 27 meters, and the decimal will be right behind the 7. And that means that I'm going to have to add 2 decimal places then. So I'm going to leave 2 spots, add 2 here. And so I know that 27 meters will be then 2,700 centimeters. The next one, if I'm going to convert from hecta to cinema. Now notice I don't have my thing. Now I wanted to tell you that, like when I learned this before, King Henry died by, that's your base, drinking chocolate milk. So this one is the deca. DAK, I think is how they abbreviate, DAM, DA, and then, sorry, that's a deca kilogram, so DA. So in this case, a same concept. If I go to the left, I'm going to divide. If I go to the right, I'm going to multiply. So I'm going to start off with hectometers, which is going to be the second one, and I'm going to go to centimeters. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the right. So I'm going to go over 1, 2. That's still my base. The base means that, again, in this case, it's going to be meters. It could be also grams. It could be also any of those others. So 1, 2, 3, 4 places. So I have to move my decimal to the right 4 places. 8.64, moving it 4 places. 1, 2. I have to add 2 zeros, 2 zeros. And so 8.64 hectometers is the same as 86,400 centimeters. If I go into decameters, the DM is not the DA. Goodness, I'm having trouble. That would be the decimeters. The decimeters, and I have to go to kilometers. I'm going to go to the left. So I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4 places again. So I have 0.71. Remember, my decimal place is at the end of the 1. So I move it over 4 places. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. and I'm going to put my decimal in. Let me go rewrite it as 0.0071 and then kilometers. Now, always question on what I've had questions. Would you need to have the zero in front? It's a place value, but it's not necessary that you have to have it. It just helps to maybe make sure you see that there is a one's place value. The next ones are when we convert from the metric to then the English. So in this case, I've always memorized the 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeters, and so I can always get it. But sometimes if I'm going to go from like inches to kilometers, that takes quite a few steps. Using these conversions, we're going to use the same thing, what we did before. So 125 miles, we're going to put that over 1. And then you're going to go ahead and multiply it through. Since I have a miles on the top, miles has to be on the bottom. And that means I'm going to go to kilometers, so kilometers will have to be on the top. And then I'm going to go ahead and fill it in. I have 1 mile, and then there would be then 1.6 kilometers. Since they're both on the top part of the fraction, that indicates that I'm going to multiply. So I'm going to multiply 1.5 times 1.6. And so that would be the same as 2.4, and my miles cancel out, and so I'm at kilometers. So you can, again, you can see that miles are just a little bit more than a kilometer, about 1.5 times that of a kilometer. Units of measurements. So the width of a pencil, or the width of the length of the pencil, is about 2.8 or 2 millimeters. So like here, if they're saying that they're looking at that, that's pretty, I would say mine's smaller. I've always said the width of an adult's thumb is about 2 inches. I've always said my pinky across is about 1 centimeter. Typical height of the room is about 2.5 millimeters, 3 feet, sometimes 9 foot ceiling. Length of a mid-sized car, 5 meters, or about 16. Height of an Empire State Building, you'll have either 381 meters or 1,270 feet. So when you estimate the length of a pen, how long it would be, would you say that it would be 30 centimeters? So again, 30 centimeters is going to be more like your entire ruler. So that one would not be a case. Then 19 millimeters is very small. So remember, this is going to be 10 millimeters is the width of my pinky. So that one would not work. And so the answer would be this one. The height of the room, 4 millimeters, or again, is this tiny amount, about that far. So it's not that one. 4 centimeters would be 4 pinkies. Wouldn't make sense. And then 4 meters. If I had decameters, that's going to be about 40 feet high. And then the last one, when you have converting from millimeters to inches. So this is the one where you have to kind of use the combination of both. So on our conversions, if you notice, I don't go to millimeters, but I can go from inches to centimeters. So what I will start off with is just take my first one. I'll go 26,800 millimeters. And I'm going to convert it millimeters to centimeters first. So in this case, this is going to cancel, and then I know that I have 10 millimeters. Again, if I went go back here, so I went from millimeters and I go to centimeters, that means I'm dividing. And so I know I'm going to take and divide them by 10. And then to do the last part, I would go ahead, I kind of got this one I got my little conversion. I rewrote it ahead of time. My centimeters would be on the bottom, and then on the inches on the top. And so then I would have the 2.54 centimeters as to 1 inch, and then these will cancel as well. And so I'm left then, after I multiply anything on the top, we're going to multiply. So I'd have 20,800 times 1 times 1 divided by 10 divided by 2.54. So by doing that, 26,800 8, I'm just going to go 0 because I'm going to divide it by 10, and then I'm going to divide it by 2.54. And so my answer then would be then 1,155.12, and then it would also be inches. The next one, if I go ahead and do 8 yards, so 8 yards, and again going to centimeters. If you look on this case, I can go to meters, and that would be my closest kind of easy conversion. So it's 0.9 meters. So 8 yards over 1, and then I'm going to go to meters. And sorry, my yards have to be on the bottom, so they cancel. And then I'm going to have the meters on the top. So then when I choose this, I have 1 yard is to 9 meters. So I'm going to have 0.9 meters. 0.9, this will cancel. And then the last step, all I have to do is go meters to centimeters. So I can either do my conversion where I move over, or I could go ahead and do a unit multiplier or a unit fraction. So I'm going to have meters here on the top, and then I would have centimeters, and there would be then 100 centimeters to 1 meter. And then I would just finish out by multiplying. So 8 times 9 is 72 with 2 zeros added, cm. And the last one, cover 1 kilometers per hour to miles per hour. So on this case, I'm going to go ahead and just say I'm going to go kilometers per hour. So over, which kilometers over an hour. I'm going to write it as a fraction, and rather than kpm or mph. So I'm going to go ahead and write it as a fraction so that I can easily solve it. So in this one, I'm going to change then my kilometers then to miles. So kilometers has to go on the bottom, and then miles will have to go on the top. And then I would change. I'd go over here, and 1 mile is equal to 1.6 kilometers. So I'm going to put 1.6 kilometers. And so my answer after I cancel my kilometers would be then, it would be 1 divided by 1.6. You also would have your fraction button. Like I could put 1.6, and I should have a 1 over x button. Oh, somewhere. A lot of your calculators will have that, but I don't even see mine right now. But either way, it's 0.625 miles per hour. And then last, to finish it, you're welcome to write miles per hour, mph. All right. See you guys.